You are currently making decisions about what you eat and how you live that will determine whether you spend your 80s playing with your grandchildren or lying in a hospital bed with tubes in your arms. I am not exaggerating. I am 99 years old. I have spent 55 years studying exactly how food and lifestyle affect whether people live long, healthy lives or die decades before they should. And the data is overwhelming. We know what works. We have known for years. The problem is not the science. The problem is that nobody is listening. My name is Harold Weston. I was a professor of nutritional biochemistry at the University of Pennsylvania for 45 years. I have published over 340 papers. I have trained 60 doctoral students. I have sat in front of congressional committees and explained what the research shows. And I am going to tell you right now the 8 things that matter most for living a long life without spending the last 20 years of it sick. These are not opinions. These are conclusions drawn from thousands of studies spanning half a century. If you ignore everything else you hear today, do not ignore this. But first, let me tell you why I know this works. In 1949, my father dropped dead of a heart attack. He was 52 years old. He had eaten bacon and eggs every morning of his adult life. He smoked a pipe. He sat in his chair every evening after work. He was not unusual for his generation. That was how men lived. 22 years later, my brother Walter died the same way. Heart attack. He was 58. By 1971, I was 44 years old. I weighed 215 pounds on a 5'10" frame. My cholesterol was 280. I remember sitting in my doctor's office and hearing him say that if I did not change how I was living, I would likely follow my father and brother within 10 years. I had 2 young children. I had a wife I loved. I had a career that was just beginning to matter, and I was being told I was walking the same road that killed the 2 men I admired most in the world. So I changed. I lost 45 pounds over the next 2 years. I started walking 3 miles every morning. I cut most of the meat out of my diet. I stopped drinking. I read everything I could find about diet and disease. And then I spent the next 50 years studying it professionally. I am now 99 years old. I have outlived my father by 47 years. I have outlived my brother by 41 years. And I am still here, still reading the journals every morning, still walking, still sharp enough to tell you exactly what the science says. So here are the 8 keys. Listen carefully. Key number 1 is movement. Not exercise, movement. I know the fitness industry wants you to believe you need gym memberships and personal trainers and heart rate monitors. You do not. What you need is to move your body every single day in ways that feel natural. Walk, garden, take the stairs, carry your groceries. The longest-lived populations on Earth are not doing CrossFit. They are walking to visit their neighbors. They are tending their gardens. They are climbing hills because that is how they get from one place to another. The research on this is extraordinary. A study of nearly 2,000 elderly people in Jerusalem found that those who were physically active at age 70 had half the mortality rate over 8 years compared to those who were sedentary. Half. And here is what really matters. People who started being active between ages 70 and 78 still saw significant benefits. It is never too late to start moving, but it is always too late once you are dead. So move. Every day. Not for an hour at the gym. Just move through your life like your body was designed to be used. Key number 2 is plants. The single most consistent finding across all longevity research is that people who eat mostly plants live longer and healthier than people who eat mostly animals. This is true in Okinawa. It is true in Sardinia. It is true in Loma Linda, California. It is true in every blue zone that has ever been studied. The World Health Organization knows this. The American Heart Association knows this. The European Cardiology Society knows this. 80% of cardiovascular disease, 80% of strokes, nearly 90% of type 2 diabetes. These are preventable with lifestyle changes that center on eating more plants and fewer animal products. I am not telling you to become a monk. I am telling you what the data shows. Eat more vegetables. Eat more legumes. Eat more whole grains. Eat less meat. If you eat meat, make it a side dish, not the centerpiece of every meal. The longest-lived people on Earth eat meat maybe 4 or 5 times per month, not per day, per month. Key number 3 is stopping before you are full. The Okinawans have a phrase for this. They call it hara hachi bu. It means stop eating when you are 80% full. This is not some mystical Eastern wisdom. It is caloric restriction, which is one of the most robustly supported interventions for longevity in all of biology. Eating less than you want, but more than you need, allows your cells to shift from growth mode into repair mode. It reduces inflammation, it reduces oxidative stress, it extends lifespan in every organism that has ever been studied, from yeast to worms to mice to primates. You do not need to count calories. You do not need to weigh your food. You just need to stop eating a few bites before you feel completely full. Eat your biggest meal early in the day. Eat your smallest meal in the evening, and then stop eating for the night. This is how our bodies evolved to eat. The constant grazing that the modern food industry encourages is slowly killing us. Key number 4 is sugar, and this is where I need you to pay very close attention. For decades, the food industry told us that fat was the enemy. That was a deliberate lie funded by the sugar industry to distract from their own products. The truth is that added sugar, particularly the industrial quantities we consume in processed foods and beverages, is one of the primary drivers of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and early death. A study from the Centers for Disease Control in Harvard found that people who consume 25% or more of their calories from added sugar were nearly 3 times more likely to die from heart disease than those who consumed less than 10%. 3 times. And this relationship held regardless of body weight, age, sex, or physical activity level. Sugar is not just making you fat. Sugar is damaging your heart, your liver, your blood vessels. The average American consumes over 70 pounds of added sugar per year. That is poison. There is no other word for it. Cut the sugar. Cut the soda. Cut the candy. Cut the processed foods that hide sugar under 50 different names. Your body does not need any added sugar. None. It can make all the glucose it needs from complex carbohydrates. Added sugar is a drug, and we have become a nation of addicts. Key number 5 is alcohol. And I know this is not what you want to hear. For years, we told people that moderate drinking, 1 or 2 glasses of wine per day, was actually good for you. The evidence now suggests we were wrong. A massive study funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation looked at 195 countries and found that the level of alcohol consumption that minimizes your overall risk of dying from something is 0. 0 glasses of wine, 0 beers, 0 cocktails. Now there is some nuance here. For people over 40 without underlying health conditions, very small amounts of alcohol may provide modest protection against heart disease. But that benefit is completely offset by increased risk of cancer, liver disease, accidents, and a dozen other causes of death. The researcher who led that study, Max Griswold, was himself a social drinker. He said he had to reconsider his own habits after seeing the data. I stopped drinking entirely 40 years ago. I do not miss it. Key number 6 is tobacco. I almost did not include this because it seems so obvious. But I taught long enough to know that obvious things need to be said. Tobacco use is still the single largest preventable cause of death in the industrialized world. If you smoke, nothing else I have told you matters as much as quitting. If you do not smoke, do not start. If someone you love smokes, show them the data. Lung cancer, heart disease, stroke, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The list goes on. My father smoked his pipe. I wonder sometimes if that is what really killed him. Key number 7 is connection. Human beings are social animals. We evolved in tribes. Our brains are wired for face-to-face contact, for shared meals, for physical touch, for belonging. The loneliest people die younger. That is not poetry. That is epidemiology. Loneliness is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Social isolation increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and early death. In Okinawa, they have something called moai. These are social support groups that form in childhood and stay together for life. One moai that researchers studied had been meeting together for 97 years. The average age of the members was 102. They got together every day to talk, to share sake, to look after each other. When one did not show up, the others walked to her house to check on her. That is what human beings need. Not followers on the internet. Real people. Real relationships. Real community. My wife Eleanor and I were married for 61 years. She died 7 years ago at 94. We walked together every morning for over 50 years. We ate our meals together. We read books together. We argued and made up and grew old together. When she died, I understood for the first time what the research on loneliness was really describing. Find your people. Keep them close. Your life depends on it. Key number 8 is purpose. The Okinawans call it ikigai. The Costa Ricans call it plan de vida. The researchers call it having a reason to get up in the morning. Studies consistently show that people who feel their lives have meaning live longer than those who do not. This is not about career success or status. It is about feeling that your days matter, that you are contributing something, that you have not yet finished whatever you were put here to do. I am 90. You are watching this on a device that can access the entire sum of human medical knowledge. You can look up every study I have mentioned. You can read the journals yourselves. You can learn exactly what the longest-lived people on Earth do differently than everyone else. The information is not hidden. It is not expensive. It is right there. The only question is whether you will do anything with it. I am 99 years old. I have lived 47 years longer than my father. I have lived 41 years longer than my brother. I have watched my grandchildren grow up. I have held my great-grandchildren. I have had 55 more years of reading and walking and thinking and loving than I would have had if I had kept living the way I was living at 44. This is not about living forever. Everyone dies. I will die, probably soon, but I will die having lived fully until the end. I will die without having spent decades in hospitals and nursing homes and chronic pain. I will die having squeezed out every good year this body had to offer. That is what I want for you. Not immortality, just all the years you are actually owed. All the years that bad information and bad habits and bad food are stealing from you right now, today, while you still have time to change. Make the changes today, not someday, not after the holidays, not when things settle down. Today, your future self will thank you if you give that future self a chance to exist.